All right, we are live. David, welcome back again. Last time we spoke, you mentioned this is coming very soon, and it's here. H1B final kind of the wage-based lottery system is here. It's unpublished. I want to ask you what that means and like when are they going to publish it? But we have the final rule that they are going to publish it. I believe they are saying 29 December, and then what does this mean? Is this for 2026 lottery? How is this going to be impacted? And bunch of scenarios that I have questions. I'm sure audience have probably more questions than me. But before we get started, let's do a quick intro of like who you are and what's Manifest.
Sure. So thank you so much, Judy, for having me back first and foremost. And so I'll start there. My name is David Santiago. I'm Senior Immigration Counsel here at Manifest Law. We are a law firm that really prioritizes technology, automation, and improvement of just processes for clients. We're focused on anything business and investment, employer-based, especially the H1B. So, and to answer your question, yes, it is technically this new H1B wage level based rule is technically still unpublished, or it will not be official until Monday, December 29th. It has already been sent though to the US government. It will take around a week for it to be published and for it to be solidified and implemented, which it will most likely fairly certain that it will be implemented for this coming H1B lottery. So for everyone that is considering either doing the H1B lottery or for employers out there that are aware of this change, just be prepared starting January 2nd to start getting some emails from your legal counsel or seek legal counsel immediately.
Yes. Yeah. 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 And I have a bunch of questions and we'll probably deep dive into this. I see we have 500 people on Instagram. So Instagram people, because this platform does not allow me to pick your question. If you want to jump on YouTube, you can just go to my channel and you can come here. If you want to ask your question to David right away, but I see you, but I just don't have way to interact with you through this platform. Anyway, all right, let's get started. First, I think the how do we people make sure like what level wage they fall into, and also why do they say it's unpublished and when are they publishing it? I think 29 December. So
Mhm.
are we assuming any change? And then what is this final rule like? Is there any difference than what they proposed in September?
From what I was reviewing, it doesn't really seem like there was much changes from the proposed rule in September, except it's just really focused in on the wage level aspect to it. But I don't see really necessarily like huge changes. It's basically just saying unpublished. It was given to the US government to review for final comments to ensure that everything looks legally feasible. And then but it has an official published date of Monday, December 29th.
Mm.
From today, especially, and I think I noted this too last time I was here. There was a lot of changes done around holiday seasons, maybe end of the week.
Mhm.
So because also Christmas is coming up, the federal holidays are coming up. I don't believe that there's going to be much of a change regarding the actual implementation announcement that was announced regarding this wage level focus for the H1B lottery system starting 2026. It's just going to be approved, I believe, probably within the next few days, and then it'll be fully and officially published on Monday. That's what I'm seeing. And so regarding wage level or regarding the question too, so basically, for the H1B process, let's say before this announcement,
Mhm.
what the normal process was with an H1B, you would register or the company would register and they had one ticket. It was like their lottery ticket in. Now, with this wage level focused H1B lottery system, it's per wage level. You basically have different amounts of tickets being registered in with the US government.
Mm.
If the position is considered wage level 1, which is basically an introductory, newly, just newly admitted into your professional field. You have one ticket in. If it's wage level two, which is more qualified, you're qualified for this position. You have some experience. You have two. You have two tickets in. Wage level three, that's more. That's not just qualified, it's experienced. You're experienced in this field. You have experience, extensive experience that you can provide to this company. So you have three tickets in to get this opportunity to get this position. Wage level four, no, it's advanced. You normally it's some kind of managerial spot. You look over people, you review things. You have a normally there's a high. It's a higher position. It's you need more experience. You need to also have experience managing other people within your field. So with all of this combined, then you get four tickets in for the same position. So if compared to wage level one, you're four times more likely with wage level four to get this lottery system, to get this
Mm,
position, and to get the H1B lottery. So
mm,
before everyone got just one ticket, and then if you got selected, right from the usual cap, there was also 20,000 extra that were given if you had a master's degree or if it was requiring a master's degree or above. Now it's all weighted through the wage level. So regardless of the 20,000 extra, it's still considered within this wage level requirement, this wage level basically standard that's given with this new H1B lottery system. And it's really going to be focused on when you analyze a wage level, it's based on the location and it's based on the amount, the salary that you're getting.
mm,
So now, salaries are going to be really important, or much more important. Salaries are always important, but especially for the employers, because specific areas have different wage levels. A rural area is going to have a much lower wage than, let's say, an urban or a really developed area throughout the United States. Comparing to, let's say, some smaller county in Alabama to San Francisco County, which is one of the biggest ones, which is one of the highest wage levels, it's going to be a little different.
right. Yeah. And you mentioned level one, level two, level three, and you mentioned the experience level. But do I have to match that? Like, for example, can I be making level four salary and not be a people manager or etc.? So, how does that role tie to my number of this, like the salary amount?
Great question. So that also with the location is going to really affect your salary amount. Because when you place a position through an SOC code, right? And obviously everyone knows the bare minimum requirements of advanced degree, or if you can accumulate to an advanced degree. Aside from that, what you need to show is in the wage level calculator, the cost or the salary really does increase based on the different wage levels. And it depends on the position, right? For example, let's do, like I said, there's a standard one I would say would be like software developers. I think that's one of the more common ones for me specifically.
Mhm.
And then for that, that's SOC code 151252. Once I go and if I put this SOC code in for this intended position. It's a programmer, developer, someone within that field. And if I say this is an entry level position, it will most likely be wage level one. Now, let's say let's go with San Francisco County. The average for a wage level one is 100, $120,000 for an entry level position. If we go by that, wage level two, which is normally some experience, you'll see the wage level just really go up. And
Mhm.
especially when you go to wage level three and four, you even see it go higher. Sometimes it even goes double. But if you'd say we look at the same position, different wage levels as well, but let's go to somewhere, maybe a more rural area
Yep.
in let's say
Yeah,
Florida.
and we can take Chico, California. I mean, it's like some super small college town, so I'm assuming it's
Yeah,
not that high, which is where I'm from right now. So if we do the same, 120 probably is level 3 or level 4, because I'm assuming level 1 might be prevailing wage, level 1 might be 65 or 70. Again, this is my assumption, and we can look it up as well as we are going through this example. But to stick with your example, if the same if I am doing that software, the SSV code, but my salary is 120, because my company is now located in San Francisco or it's located in Chicago, but they're paying me that money. Does that mean I have 4 chances because it's level 4 in Chico, California? Or does that mean I still have 1 or 2 based on where the company's headquarters is?
It all depends on where. If you're working from your county, if you're working, let's say, remotely from home, then you're wage level 4. That's the most important
Hmm.
thing. So now employers might even be looking into that, or they might maybe provide some more options for remote work. If you live somewhere not in these high wage level areas or high metropolitan counties, San Francisco County, we can even go into New York City, New York County. There's so many possibilities now, I feel like, where employers want basically the biggest bang for their buck. They
Hmm.
want to give you the best wage level possible to increase their chances of actually getting into the H1B and being registered and having this position registered through the H1B lottery system.
Hmm.
But also, they have to consider the wage. So, because of this, I would imagine either employers are going to be more amenable, more agreeable to a wage increase if necessary, or allowing
Them to be
remote.
in remote. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Why not?
Yeah, got it. Okay. Also, Aniket, I'll take your question just a minute, but there was another question here. DHS says new rule will apply in 2027 lottery. Is that true, or is this going to be 2026 lottery?
Well, it's like the fiscal year. So it's
Oh,
going to
yes.
be like the starting it's going to be for this coming lottery, but it's like the 2026, 2027, like the fiscal year. So yes, because like the whole process basically takes all of next year, but
Mhm.
you don't actually get it until October 1st, and that's the fiscal year of 2027. So that's why. So yes, it's going to impact starting when we start the whole registration and the whole lottery coming in, usually March. But also with the new announcement, what's really important, especially for the legal counsel, for the employers to be aware of, is that instead of just registering the company, now we need to place an SOC code, the wage, skills, the responsibilities. Basically, we had to put a lot more information, like from the beginning, location, work site, everything, wage level, so they know the position. It's entered the correct amount of times, and it can't be changed. The worksite location can't be changed. The wage level, the SOC code can't be changed. So let's say that we have all this information from the employer and from the company, and then the company closes and it goes to some other work site, or let's say the position changes in some way, shape, or form. We can't do that anymore. It's fixed. It's like a fixed position now that needs to be the same from January when we get the information up until the approval that will happen hopefully before October.
Yeah. So just to clarify on that question, it's confusing because it says 2027, but it is for this next upcoming lottery season, which will be March of 2026 when people will enter into the lottery. That is when this rule is intended to basically go into effect. Is that correct?
Correct, correct.
Nice. Okay. Here's an interesting question. Should SOC code match master's degree if using master's quota? Example, candidate has bachelor's in mechanical engineering and master's in supply chain. Can they file SOC code mechanical engineer if work is related to it?
It So the SOC code should really match the position. The position is the most important thing. So let's say if we're doing for this specific, for this specific
Mhm.
focus, and because also when you're filing, there's it's not there's some, I think, depending on the attorney, there's some flexibility in what kind of degree you need, right? It could be mechanical engineering degree, but if we're doing like supply chain optimization, then it could be we need a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, maybe industrial engineering or a similar related field. And the attorney is going to argue that based on in totality of the experience, the degrees that this candidate has, they fit perfectly for this position. So, yes, yes and no. That does really matter, but the most important thing is the job position, the responsibilities, because that's where the attorney and that's where the employers are going to really look into what's the best SOC code, what's the best fit, and also what's the strongest one for the potential employees to get the actual H1B lottery.
Mm, mm. Got it. Okay. Here's another interesting question. If you are at master's level degree or master's degree, and if
Mhm.
you are wage level 3, do you get 6 shots?
No, no, no. It's just wage level three, 3 shots in, four shots in, two shots in, one entry in.
But
It
they
doesn't
do get
double.
that extra 20,000, which
Yes.
bachelor students don't get it.
Right, correct. Then they still get in, they still have that additional 20,000 cap with a master's degree. So that's still happening, but the actual times you're able to enter from the beginning and not just the leftovers that happen afterwards or the potentials is just based on the wage level.
So again, correct me, David. So 3 shots for that individual for bachelor's quota, but then again, that same 3 shots among the master's quota as well. So it's not
R-
6 different chances. It's the same, but just 3 for in that 20,000 and then 6 for 65,000.
You're right. It's if you kind of think of it as like a lottery, or if you think of like when you think of like maybe people putting in like their entries and then like there's that spinning lottery basket that keeps rolling. You the people who have master's degrees, they keep it in there after the 20,000 slot. So they have like a higher percentage of getting it because of that. But I wouldn't say double, but they
Yeah.
have a much better chance of staying in there. They stay
Right.
in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There was another interesting question. This is in on Instagram. Again, for Instagram people, I can't take the question, but what happens to remote workers? Can they associate with any city their office is in? And maybe this is the time, David. Maybe I can share my screen. We can look at the example of like Chico versus Chicago or something like that, which should be fairly similar to San Francisco versus like a Houston or something like that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. And as I was saying, we got a super chat. So let me answer that question. I had gotten an RFE on November 10th, which I got to know last week. I don't know what my RFE is or since my employer isn't sharing. How can I get to know this? And also, what's the deadline for RFE submission? I feel lost at this point, to be honest. Ooh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, the it depends on there's a lot of questions here, but it depends on whether it was normal processing and premium processing on time wise. Normally they try to shorten the RFE if you get the premium processing, and they have to give you a response within 15 business days. But if it's a normal processing, then they can take up to 3 to 6 months still to respond. The employer it's the employer has to pay for the H1B filing fees. The employee or employer can pay for premium processing, but the employer it's the employer's H1B technically. So I feel like they should be contacting you or they should be talking to you to get more information, but I would need some more information or context for this.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm just pinning the comment on Instagram so people can find us. I'm going to share my screen. Let's go through an example so people have a clarity. So again, this is the website. This is flag.dol.gov, wage data. I'm going to post this link for everyone as well. Plus, a lot of people are asking, is this rule final? David, is this rule final?
It's not, technically not officially published until Monday. However, as even though I guessed it from the since September, it's looks like most likely it's final, and
Yeah,
it's going to start the reason why they're doing this so, I would say, abruptly during the holidays is because they wanted to give at least the
60 days.
employers, right, and at least the 3 months before the H1B lottery system starts to legally implement this, legally publish this, which is why this is all happening right before January.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's happening.
Yeah, it says unpublished, but it's going to be published on 29 December. And I
Yes.
think there's like some 60 days where they're giving like this notice. So that'll be right before March lottery begins. So that's kind of how and why they are doing it. And of course, this gives enough notice to employers. Hopefully at
Right.
this point, employers were kind of preparing for this.
I really, really hope so. We've been trying, as attorneys, especially you know this was coming, I guess, with any other, like for example, even the June proclamation about being vetting processes, which what we talked about last time too. We didn't know how strong it was going to be, especially unfortunately with the visa appointments and consulates. But it seems like there's a trend. There's after 3 months, 3 months, 6 months in the future this thing will be implemented and it will be implemented very harshly or as aligned as the original announcement. So I'm assuming coming up, Uni is going to talk to someone from Manifest about the new EB2 and EB1 regulations.
There is also, I don't want to scare people on holidays, but there's also this like duration of status thing. The
Hmm.
final rule is going to come because there was a proposal. I think they're
Yes.
working on publishing that as well, which could be impacting F1 visa, but we'll wait until that actually comes out and we can talk about it. Okay, here we go. Let's so let's take a look at the same thing that you mentioned, David. So you said something. Should I do California? And let's look at San Francisco wage level one, and then I'll compare that with let's say if I'm working completely remote from my town, which is Chico, California, and we'll see how that works. I just want to kind of give that picture to audience.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
So.
Especially because
Mhm.
from what I've seen too, like the the it seems like the wage level in San Francisco County is one of the highest ones.
Mm.
So and there's always people hiring there.
Yep.
So remote work might be a benefit for them now.
Yeah. Okay, and then this all industry, do we know the code? I think you mentioned some code for software engineer. What was that?
Yes, I did. I did. Hold on, I'm just gonna double check the code here because I had it up and then oh, 15, 12, 52.
Yep, there we go. Okay, so this is again for everyone. You can do the same thing, but we're just doing
Mhm.
an example. Uh, 15, 12, 52, California, county is Alameda County, San Francisco. I think it's a, very fairly lot of like high wage over there. So there you go. Over here, we can see level one. Oh my gosh, 135,000. So this person who's making $140,000, for example, falls into level one. So they get
Mhm.
only one chance. Is that fair? Am I understanding this right?
Yes, this would be considered an entry-level software developer aligned position, and they would only have one ticket in.
And again, I just want to clarify one more thing. Maybe you already did, but extra clarification.
Yeah.
What if I have level one, but my company is paying me, like, it says software engineer, but they're paying me 161,000. So do I have to show the experience, or doesn't matter if you're making 161 this number, then you are level two.
Normally, you'd have to show some experience, right? You have some experience. I'm not we're the, for normally for wage level 2 clients, I would personally say like if well also you have to hit above
Yeah.
that. So it can't be
Yeah.
161. It'll technically still be considered
162. Yeah.
right. Like let's say 162. Basically, we'd have to show that maybe you need like a year of experience, for example, only like or some prior knowledge with a specific tool, maybe something that you can also
Mm,
gain through experience in university and also through internships. And honestly, it doesn't have to be paid work either. That's where the experience and the wage level two can really hit, because you can show based on internships, based on minimal experience, that you do know the field. It's not like you've never experienced anything from your field and you're just graduating and starting, which
mm.
I think would be better always to try to lean, if possible, to the wage level two compared to wage level one.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So let's keep this levels in mind.
Yeah.
135, 161, 170, 187, 213. I'm gonna now shift to my county, which is Butte County, Chico. There we go. Same thing. And as you can see, like level two was like 161 and above. So for me, this is level four. Like even if level one salary of San Francisco is level four for me. Does that make sense?
Right. That's exactly right. So basically, what would happen, let's say that you're new, you have this experience, you're becoming a software developer, and they want you to work in San Francisco in person.
Mhm.
Then if they're offering only 162, the highest they can give you wage level wise is two. So you only have two entries. However, the same position, let's say, but they're saying no, you can work remotely, then boom, you get wage level four, and then you get double the amount of entries to get into the lottery.
Mm.
So it doesn't matter really like the salary. What matters is the wage level that's given to you to dictate how many entries you're going to get. So
Mm.
this is where remote work, especially in counties that aren't as metropolitan, let's say, or high leveled wage, will actually be really beneficial for some employers.
Yeah, and the reason I bring this up because same when I was switching my job, like I work completely remote from home. My company is in Chicago, but they don't give me salary based on where I live. They are giving me salary what they would give to anybody who's joining at my level of experience. So even though I'm working from a town which is not as expensive as Chicago, I'm making same money, so technically, I am level four or above. So I would get four chances. And that's kind of what we are concluding here.
Yes, that's exactly right. So, and for people that are new to the process, especially employees that are new to this process, they really should consider that as a benefit,
Mm.
because they're going to get high skilled workers that are great at their jobs, that know what they're doing, and they will have more chances of letting them get into the H1B lottery system if they are able to work remotely. So keep opening that pool for potential people, like similar to your situation, Yudi, would be amazing.
Yeah. Are there any limitation to this? Like, kind of caveat that I'm, making San Francisco salary in Chico and I get level four type of thing. There must be something that, hey, if you travel so much of amount of time to the office location, then this probably there's a difference. Like, or do I have to work 24/7, like 365 days from Chico? What if I have to visit clients? What if I have, so
Mhm.
what are the different scenarios where this could be complicated?
I think you brought up a really great point, which would be like hybrid. Let's say hybrid, right?
Mm.
Let's say like you have to, for minor traveling for your job, that's not gonna, I don't think that's like extremely impactful, because you still need to think of main place of work. But if you do hybrid, let's say in your county and in San Francisco County, you need to register both wage levels. You need to register both wage levels, both
Mm.
SOC, like the SOC code has to align with both locations, and you have to at least be able to pay for the highest level one. So that would negatively impact the amount of times you're able to enter the H1B lottery, because you have to consider both, and you have to make sure that you're paying the potential employee the bare minimum, which is at least the minimum requirement on the
Yeah.
wage levels.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned about traveling, but like, what if, in my case, the same example, I have to go
Mhm,
to Chicago at least once every 3 months, or sorry, once a quarter for a one
mhm.
week time frame. It's like team offsite, we do a lot of planning, etc. So in a year, I am there at least 3 weeks, but rest of
Mhm.
the time I am working from my home, or Chico,
Yeah.
California. So am I still falling under the Chico, California, or does this change because now I'm traveling?
No, you would still for quarterlies, especially because you're not even like you said, it's basically like team building, offsite building,
Mm.
production, that's normally mentioned in the responsibilities or requirements of the job position, but that's not going to be something where it actually dictates your work location. That's almost like a for me at least, that's almost an additional job requirement or job responsibility. But your work site, where you work, like let's say someone from the Department of Labor or a U.S. government official wants to check where you're working after you do the posting notice for an H1B, the only place that I would put for you is in Chico County, in your where you live, where you work remotely.
Yeah.
Visiting once a quarter or doing anything else like that is not important.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Cool. There are lots of questions, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. I have linked again. My link is there. If you need extra help, if we can't get to your question, so please feel free to do the consultation. One other question before I go into Q&A, David, is what if this is my third attempt? I was not able to get it into first and second. This is my third attempt. Now, because of this wage base, maybe the odds are against me.
Mhm.
Like, are there alternate options that I should be thinking about?
Yeah, definitely. There could be, especially if this is your third attempt, that means that you've been growing professionally, for a few years now.
Yeah.
So I think a great option would be, for example, like an O1, extraordinary ability. The
Mm.
benefit of this is that it gives you a lawful presence, and it gives you a way to work and remain in the United States while still profile building, and it aligns with the criteria to get a green card later on through maybe an EB1A or an EB2NW, especially EB1A because it's also extraordinary ability. But an O1, the criteria sounds very similar, but the way they actually analyze it is very different, because in O1 you do still need an employer or an agency, or if you're creating your own company, you need some other way to show that the company is basically hiring you. You're not in control of the hiring process, but that's still also another possibility. There's so many avenues with O1s, just in case if the H1B doesn't go your way.
Yeah. All right. I am going to put the link, because if you feel, everybody, that your profile is qualified for O1, and if you want to get evaluated, Manifest can do it for absolutely free, plus you get 30-minute consultation as well. So I put that as well in the link so people can get to it. I'll pin it so that way they have it. Here we go. Let's answer some of the question. What about cap exempted category? There's a huge disparity in wage compared to industry. This is H1B cap exempt. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, well, this isn't gonna like with cap exempt. Yeah, there's a huge disparity in wages. I completely agree with you. With cap exempt, there's more, I would say, grace, right? And there's also it's not being impacted as the H1B lottery system is. So for that, any cap exempt or any cap exempt, um, you know, I guess additions that you can get, right? Even if you're cap exempt through an approved I-140 or anything else too, that's not going to be applicable with this new rule. Think about this as just going to be applicable for people in the new H-1B lottery system.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the main people that are going to be impacted by this are potentially new grads with no actual work experience in the field, because the only one that they could really apply for would be wage level one. They have a lower chance. And also, you have to think about, maybe in the worst case scenario, is new graduate who for some reason is not here in the United States and leaves and has to do this consular processing, because then they have a lot less shots in, and even if they do make it, then the 100K fee rule applies.
Yeah, and it's a cap exam, meaning you are not subject to the lottery. So
Right,
this is only for lottery. It's not for cap exam. So got
right.
it. Okay. Will the total cap remain same, 85,000? Will this apply to March 2026, which is fiscal year 2027? Will prevailing wage level change because of today's rule, or use current Department of Labor wage data of 2025 and to 2026? Good questions, Nikhil. Yeah.
Great questions. Yes, the cap should be the same. I haven't seen any giant disparate changes about this. However, it might change. We'll keep you updated until Monday. And then this will apply for, like I said, fiscal year, because the whole process of the actual H1B lottery system takes almost an entire year, but this is for starting fiscal year 2027, which is October. So yes, this will apply for this coming one. And then the prevailing wage levels, normally what they usually do, you're right, is they use the ones from this current year or the most recent of previous year. So I think that's what they're going to really be implementing. So that's where also Uni was able to look through the Department of Labor's like wage levels as well. I would say look at that, look at what SOC code you believe you're in. Obviously, things might change, but normally, as employees, especially for the H1B system, I feel like they're smart, advanced professionals. You kind of already know what profession you are, what you do, so you can see which SOC code is best aligned with you. And then you'll also see basically what the expected wage levels are for where you live, or where, if you're going to work remotely, where the company is and where you live. And then you can kind of analyze that information
Mhm.
too.
Yeah. And I was talking to Nicole last week, and Nicole is another lawyer from Manifest. She mentioned that like the Department of Labor wage level is set already from
Hmm.
like he said, 25 to June 2026. So
Hmm.
they will have to operate from that data. And yes, they are planning to change that, or they have given instruction to change that, but that will not happen until 2027 lottery season or 2028. That's how I understand it. Is that right, David?
Right. That's correct. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So there's no there I from this is I would say for the H1B lottery system, also because we're so close in time to giving enough notice, um that this is what I'm, and I don't want to jinx it, but I think this is the biggest change that's going to happen, or this is the biggest announcement for the H1B system. I don't see them changing regarding the wage levels.
Yeah. Okay. There was another question. This is not related. In the last three attempts, H1B not picked. Now I'm getting transferred to Canada. Do I need to pay 100,000 if my H1B is picked?
If you are outside the United States, if this is your first if you're picked for an H1B, um, if then most likely, if you're still outside the United States, if you don't have any other type of status that allows you to come in, for example, it seems like you might be able to qualify for something else, like an L1 or something, but if you have no other type of status, then yeah, the 100K fee will most likely apply.
Yeah. Uh, Another question from Instagram. Does base plus bonus count towards total comp for wage level, or just the base salary?
Great question. It is salary. It's because normally when you add bonus or other comps, you're not certain of that, right? It's all subjective to the work that you've done, so there's nothing solid about that. So it is just based on your base salary.
So the paycheck that you receive, not the stock component, not the stock equity, none of that.
Right, right. Because I think that would I from the experience that I've had and from the experience that Manifest has, right? And from what it asks for in the actual wage level, it's only asking about wage, not vested options, not bonuses, not perks, just your wage.
Yeah. What if the salary is less than wage level 1? Can we even enter the lottery at all?
If there's no workaround, right? If there's no what could there's sometimes that happens where you might need to find a different or work remotely instead, right? Or find some other options, maybe reanalyze the situation with your employer. But if you're not able to show that, or if the wage that is given is less than wage level 1 for the area that you're implementing this job position for, then you cannot continue, or you can't apply, because you need to prove that you can pay someone, not just the foreign worker, but anyone, the wage that is there or higher. If you have provided lower, that's going to be a big problem for the employer.
So you're saying they can enter the lottery but may not get approved.
Right, right. If they enter the lottery with the expected wage, but then let's get it. Let's say we get it. Let's say software developer, again, software developer scenario, wage level 1 I think was like 120 something, or I don't remember. But let's say that you're only trying to offer 110. That's going to be the biggest red flag in the eyes of USCIS once you do the labor like condition application, the LCA with the Department of Labor. Once you get it certified, you did all that work, you send it to USCIS. I'm not going to pay them this, I'm going to pay them less. It's going to get denied unless there's going to be some terrible RFE, and then you'll eventually get denied.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. If I'm level 4 and hold a US STEM master's degree, I will be eligible for a total of 5 opportunities in the H1B lottery.
You'll basically have, again, it's almost like a double dip, right? When you think about the 20,000 extra. So you're in the cap season, you get 4 slots in. It's okay, you don't get picked, but you have a master's degree. So now the master's degree, only master's degree available people that still have their lottery tickets are in there, and then it goes, and then you get to pick from there too. So I wouldn't say 5. I would say actually you probably have a better chance, not double, but I would say it's better than just a 5.
Yeah. I mean, you still get 4, but you are going in almost like twice. It's just
Yeah,
hard to explain this.
kind of. Yeah, kind of. Like it gets like filtered out, right? Only master's degrees, and then you're able to try again, and you still have those 4 still in there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's almost like yes, it's a higher percentage. I hope we can figure out the math. Everyone here is smart, so we'll figure out the math for everyone too, definitely.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. There was another before I take. Okay, let's just do that one, and then there's
Oh,
another.
okay.
This is my third chance to get in lottery. If not selected, should I consider day one CPT as an option?
Sure. I mean, whatever. Day one CPT is an option, and then with CPT at least you get experience while also studying, right? That's normally the benefit of day one CPT. You're able to work as well within your field. However, this is just a side note. CPT and schools that are allowing CPT have been really highly scrutinized recently. So just be careful with that. Be wary of that. Make sure you have all your ducks in a row. Everything's crossed correctly. You're able to do it. But a lot of people do that. F1s, STEMs, additional degrees, day one CPT. But there's also, like I said, and like Yudi was recommending, and how we were talking too, there are other non-immigrant but professional work visas that you can even look into, like the O1. And also, if you have any other additional experiences, maybe something else.
Yeah, there are some really good questions. What are the implications of this rule for people already on H1B and have salary less than the level they fall into according to the new criteria?
That's fine. It's not going to implement you. This is just for the cap. So this is just for the actual H1B lottery system.
Yep.
There's no mention of revamping every single person who has an H1B. That would be absolutely terrifying, and also that doesn't go with what the H1B was intended, right? It was intended to actually ensure that we keep the best and brightest here in the United States with advanced degrees that are helping the United States. Retroactively going back to that would would be catastrophic. But no, this does not implement. This does not apply to you. So just what you
Yeah,
need to just do is maintain your H1B status.
right. Yeah, and again, for everyone to think about, this is to enter into the lottery the first time. It's not, yeah, like it's not
Yes,
grandfathered for all the other status. What about
right,
renewal? Would they? I think the only thing would be the new prevailing wages that might be
right,
released.
right.
You're good. You're good.
So sorry about that. The
Oh no, no
holidays.
worries. Yeah.
Though, so no, with an H1B extension or even a change of employer, for example, too, the most important thing is that when you do the extension, that's you're just requesting the extension. This shouldn't be an issue either. But with, let's say, I would say the biggest thing that you would have to look out for is change of employer. But that's what you always have to look at anyways as an attorney. With a change of employer, you just have to make sure that the new position aligns and that the wage level is appropriate. But this is it's not going to be as specific as for a new H1B. I think everyone who has a current H1B status should not be worried about this new announcement. Honestly, I
Yeah.
think this
Yeah.
is very really because the wage levels always change, or normally there are some forms of increases, but your legal team usually knows this is and they're prepared for this, and especially for a change of employer and extension, we already have the information that we need to make the best shot to have your extension approved or to have the change of employer approved, and we already have that all prepared. So whoever is new to this though should really be making sure that they prepare themselves, have any academic documents, civil documents that they need ready for the legal team to analyze these new job positions, because we need to have a lot more information ready before we're even registering in the lottery.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, how can we find SOC code for some position or job titles like lead engineer, service engineering? My master's degree
Mhm.
is mechanical engineering.
I think so. If you look up an SOC code for, let's say, yeah, like a product, like a product engineer, right? Or for this is just a very, very blatant
Should we
example.
do this live, like service
Yeah,
engineer?
yeah. Or if you do, normally what I do is I also go just on like ONET, not just the Department of Labor, but you'll see. For example, normally, I think for me it's a little biased as an attorney because I already have like some SOC codes. There's normally like 20 responsibilities there, right? So
Wait, are you referring to this on it?
yes, yes.
Okay.
So I normally go and own it online, right? And then you can even search, you can do, and even on the top right, there's a search too, or you right there. That's perfect. Occupational,
Mhm.
you can do it right there. So occupational keyword search, and you can put that in lead engineer, right? And then you'll see,
No quick matches. Should we still look for it?
yeah. So you'll see some of the other no here that could count, and then you'll look. Let's see you'll try to look at what's closest to you. You said this person said also my master's degree is in mechanical engineering, so we can look at mechanical engineering, that one, right? Technologists, technicians, and then we can try to see. Then here you see the occupational specific information. You see tasks. Right. And then there's only showing, you can expand it too to show all of the tasks,
Mm,
or skills, and then above their tasks, and then you see what this SOC code does. Because not every job title, not every job position is going to have an SOC code specifically, right?
mm,
So that's where we develop, a lot of like AI engineer, business intelligence optimization, supply chain optimization engineers. You know, that's not an SOC code. Normally you go and you find one software
Yeah.
developer, right? Computer systems, and then you see how technical, how practical do you deal with software? Do you deal with hardware? Do
Mm,
you lead? Do you manage? Then that's where the attorneys normally do a really deep dive and make sure that the responsibilities of the actual job description align the best with one of these SOC codes. So normally that's what we would do. So for someone more of like a product, and then you see product manager. Is it product engineering manager? Are we going to look more at the administrative stuff, the technical stuff, or are we going to look at more the technological aspects of it? And then that's where the job description is the most important thing,
mm,
because even if, let's say, you have this great job title, but all your responsibilities are actually very technical, then it might be something even that doesn't even have engineering in it. It might be like a
yeah.
sales manager or something else. I've seen that as well.
Yeah, like look at, I mean, it's marketing manager instead of this, but this might be a good one for like PMM or some like product marketing manager. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's very fascinating. So, okay, so this is one way, but like people who their attorneys should be able to tell them what SOC code they are going to put them into, right?
right. Yeah. But we would need the not just the job title, but the job description, because
Yeah,
a job title, like I said, it could be
not like one to
something.
one direct related.
Exactly, exactly. If only the Department of Labor, if only the government gave an actual correct SOC code for every single person, that would make the attorneys' lives way easier, but normally it does not. And then there are also advanced tools here to try to like add more information if you want to look at the location, everything. But I like ONET, this website. I think it's a
Yeah,
handy tool to kind of look around and
yeah,
to see. Um, but
yeah.
it it gives you a lot of options there. But
Mm,
there's some that what you're gonna well, as an attorney, I see some like three job descriptions, the first responsibilities, and like I know I'm like, okay, computer analyst, like software. Even though it doesn't say it,
yeah.
you remember it's like your core memory, especially when you deal with like scores, hundreds of H1Bs, or even not just when you do the perms, or
Mm,
when you do anything that depends on these SOC codes, then you kind of get used to it. But yeah, I would say play around with that and see. But also your attorney or your legal team might give you a different SOC code that you believe, because the tasks are very similar. Let's say you could fit two, and one of the SOC codes is stronger. It has better wages. Your employer wants to give you better wages too. Normally that could be something as well. Or one has had a is much stronger in the eyes of USCIS. That's also a factor. So there's a lot of other out like kind of like unmentioned factors with
yeah.
SOC codes and with H1Bs especially, that like attorneys always try to look into as well.
Mm. Is it safe to switch jobs in 2026 before the lottery happens?
Yeah, I wouldn't see, like I said, the everyone who has a current H1B, don't I would not be frightened about this announcement, or I wouldn't be worried about this announcement. Do what you need to do professionally speaking. The benefit of the H1B is that it does allow change of employers. It allows, especially like for job opportunities, for growth. So don't let this stop you. The only thing, obviously, is to make sure your H1B status is valid as long as possible, especially now with all of the issues happening outside of the United States with the visa stamping.
Yeah, yeah. I travel frequently for work, and my total compensation, including travel related benefit, is over $150,000. Would that qualify my position for level 4 under the new H1B wage levels based on my HQ?
So I don't think so. This was kind of also what Yudi was kind of mentioning too with travel, and also what we were kind of talking about with bonuses. I it's basically, I understand total compensation. I understand travel related benefits. There's housing perks, food perks. There's all these per diems and there's bonuses and stock options. That's not really considered wage. Your basic annual salary wage that you're being offered is the most important thing because that's the thing that is also going to be included in the additional documents that won't change, right? You're given a job offer. This is your base salary. This is what you're given. We include it as attorneys with any H1B application that we do to confirm that this is the salary. It's higher than the prevailing, it's at least the same or higher than the prevailing wage that is given for this wage level. So everything is accordingly accurate. We're doing everything that appropriate, but everything else that's subjective or that could change, it's not really mentioned or it's not really considered for the H1B.
Yeah. How safe is that if my visa got expired and I finished my bachelor's already and I'm in my master's, how safe is it to go back to my home country and get visa renewal because I want to see my family? Ah,
That's I know I especially during the holiday time, like I honestly feel for everyone who needs to. Um, Also because a student visa, a non-immigrant visa as well, the vetting processes are still being applied, not just H1Bs, but H1Bs were hit the hardest because at first it was just F1s, Ms, Js that were really being focused, and then it kind of got like refocused right before this announcement, refocused to H1Bs with the visas and extra vetting procedures, rescheduling, cancellations, delays. So with an F1, obviously, and also as Yudi very accurately noted too, there was comments about duration of stay F1 status as well. Um, the I believe personally that it you might be at risk of having either not finding a visa stamping appointment before you have to go back to school, or something might happen where they're rescheduling. I keep hearing mentions since the last time we've talked that they're still being rescheduled. They're still reschedulings, cancellations that are now hitting the end of next year, which is insane
mm,
to me.
yeah,
So I would not recommend it if you do not have to travel for now. Especially, I'm seeing a huge bottleneck of that for Indian nationals to not do it if you can't. But I understand everyone has, their own independent issues and stuff, scenarios.
for wage-based rule, does it take into consideration the experience of applicant as well? Example, a data scientist with 2 years experience compared to someone with 5 years experience.
Yeah, yes, that's basically where the wage levels kind of hit, right? So normally, I think the biggest conundrum for attorneys is when do we differentiate wage levels 2 and wage level 3? Because what's the difference between experienced and qualified, right? Or like high advanced highly advanced in the field versus experience. And I think it is an attorney case by case basis. But I would say, for example, if you have 2 years of experience, I would consider it more as like a wage level 2. 5 years of experience, I consider it more as wage level 3. Because also normally with 5 years of experience, you teach maybe other professionals, not manage, but maybe you lead things, you lead teams, lead exercises, lead projects, which is a possibility. So the years of experience are going to be impacting, I would say, the different wage levels, especially between wage level 2 and wage level 3, which if you have a master's degree, it's going to give you one extra inning into or one extra ticket in, and then also keep that extra ticket in when you're looking at the master's cap.
Yeah. If on F1 OPD, should we be physically present in US at the time of filing, or is that only during processing if H1B gets picked?
Okay, so if you are the most important thing is when you're when you're here and you have F1 OPT is when not when you get picked for the H1B lottery, but when or the company and the job position gets picked for the H1B lottery, but when you're applying for it with USCIS, your H1B, and you're applying for the status of H1B, while you're on F1 OPT, the most important thing is that you're here in the United States during that whole process. So obviously you have to file before, I believe it's June 30th. And then there's a process time without premium processing. You get a response by or before October 1st. So during that time, until you get a decision and approval, you should remain in the United States to make sure that you don't get hit with the 100K fee.
Hmm. Okay. And just to clarify, David, you're saying, so I am on F1 OPT. I went into the lottery 30th March.
Mm-hmm.
During this time, am I okay to travel? Because you like my lawyers hasn't yet filed the petition because we don't know if I'm picked or not. Maybe first week of April, I get to know that, oh, I'm picked, and I need to be back before they start the petition or before they apply for petition.
Correct. So yeah, you can travel while the H1B lottery is going on. You can travel even once the position is picked with the SOC code. And like I said, now there's going to be an additional kind of legal analysis to it. You can travel all during that time, but once the LCA has been sent and certified, once the attorneys are ready to file this position, and you as the employee that's going to fill this position for the H1B status, then you should not travel during that time.
Mm. I recently shifted to Seattle to live with my family, and my work is remote and office is in Kentucky. I work remotely. According to Kentucky, I'm in level 4, but in Seattle, it's level 1. Which level do I belong? So this is like completely opposite of what I was uh,
Yes,
talking about.
completely opposite. You are technically you're in your wage level from your work site. If you work remotely, then it's in Seattle, so so then you would be right the wage level 1 in Seattle if you're wage level 4 in Kentucky. So, but of course, if you already have Well, this is assuming you already have an H1B. If you have already an H1B, then it doesn't really matter. Great, you're just in your wage level is 1 when if you would have lived in Kentucky, it's 4. But if you don't, if you're not in H1B, let's say this person is on F1 OPT, then if they're trying to give this position to someone that is working from Seattle, or they wanted to align it with someone like that, then it would be only wage level 1, and then they would only have 1 ticket in the H1B lottery system.
Yep. I'm a little confused here. If a level 1 wage salary, the person can only have one ticket in that year for H1B lottery, or he will be having only once to enter into the lottery across his 3 years of STEM OPT. Oh, I see the confusion.
Can you clarify for me, Yudi? I
Yeah,
don't
so
understand.
he's saying I have 3 years on OPT or OPT and STEM OPT. So total is 3 years. If I'm on level 1, does it mean I get one ticket in first year versus only one chance out of my 3 years of OPT? So you get to go in
Oh,
lottery every single year,
every
but
year.
because you are in level 1, you only get one ticket in that lottery season.
Exactly. So, my recommendation to this person is if you don't make it the first year, maybe get internships or do OPT work experience, so then you can qualify for wage level 2, or even wage level 3, because then you'll have the more experience you have throughout these times. Let's say you don't make it the first time, second time in, you'll probably get more aligned with wage level 2, then you'll get 2 tickets in. Let's say you don't make that one, at least by the third time around, you'll have at least around like 3 years of experience at least, which could be aligned more depending on the experience, depending on the work, depending on the position. It could be more wavered to wage level 2 or 3, and then you'll get 2 to 3 tickets in. So keep working and keep gaining that experience regardless of what happens, because it's going to benefit you in the long run, and it's going to give you greater chances in the long run as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And do we have to create flag account to evaluate the wage? Could you give steps to follow? You don't have to create. I'm just gonna post the link. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can just do that. And some in that same kind of website, if you type something and if they are not able to, it is going to take you to ONET website, which David was mentioning. So for example, I was not able to find product manager. When I click on it, it takes me to to own it website anyways. So both you don't need to create account for. You can access it without it.
Yep.
Okay. I know we are over time and we have lots of questions. So I'm going to just take one quick question and then let you go, David.
Yeah.
Is choosing the right SOC code based on the job duties can benefit you climb the wage level?
Yes, it could. So each SOC code will also have different wages, right? So let's say a computer systems analyst and a software developer, right? I think computer systems analysts actually have, on average, lower wages compared to software developers. This is like the top of my head, so this is, I'm assuming. Let's assume this. So let's say like the job positions that are given or granted have almost around the same similar tasks, similar responsibilities for both SOC codes. Let's say we are trying to give you the best bang for your buck, or the employer the best bang for their buck and the best opportunities. So we'll probably go. What I would do is, okay, let me see. Okay, the tasks are almost identical, or five of the tasks fit for computer systems analyst, five fit for software developer, and also we can kind of see that this computer system analyst works. So when that happens, I would use the computer system analyst. The wage level, I could probably get a higher wage level for the employee, so then we have more opportunities to actually obtain what we need, which is the H1B registration. So yes, that plays into effect, and your attorney will, or the attorney of the employer will really take notice in that, and we also really have to take that into account. However, again, we can't change the SOC code now. So from the beginning, we have to have maintain the correct wage level, the correct SOC code, because we can't change it down the road.
Yeah. My spouse has received an offer to be considered for H1B lottery 2026. She's currently on H4 status and no EAD. Does she need to be physically present in US for the lottery and 100K?
She already has a different type of status that is current and valid. So because of that, I what I would what I would assume is that no, she would not apply for the 100K fee. The only thing is, and again, I think I mentioned this too the last time I was here with Yudi, is the only thing that I'm worried about is some officials, what I have seen, or from what I've not specifically with my clients, because I always try to tell them, hey, let's not travel just in case while we're doing this. Let's stay here, stay in the US. But I've seen even on Reddit, I've seen an online post as well, officials questioning that. Or there was also last week, there was an uptick of RFEs for H1B holders, or people that were waiting still for their H1Bs to be processed, asking for this 100K fee. So from this scenario, she already has an H4 status. She's traveling, and she was picked for the H1B lottery system. I personally, what I would say is just maybe just while this is processing, make sure that she's here in the United States. And also like I said, for premium processing, the employer has to pay for the filing fees for the H1B, but the premium processing, which is the $2,805 extra, they do not have to pay that. It could be the employee or the employer. So if they don't
Yeah.
want to pay for that, maybe it's I always think, well, that's always cheaper than $100,000. But to pay for that, get the answer, get the approval, and just better be safe than sorry. Also, some officials are more confused about the 100K fee announcement than the attorneys are, and they just sometimes issue it, which is they issue it wrongly, and then we have to respond to it. But you don't want to be in that situation. So I don't think it would apply, but just in case, be here in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. Last question, and I'll let you go. Sorry, I said last question like 3 times ago.
It's okay.
How do we know which wage level do we fall under, and is it the upper limit or the lower limit? Example: if I have 130,000 as a base, and according to Seattle, level 1 is 67, level 2 is 119, and level 3 is 149. So, which one would I be?
You would be level 2, because your wage has to be the same or above the the expected wage level that is provided by the Department of Labor. So the employer is abiding to the actual laws and regulations of the Department of Labor. So for this specific scenario, that you would be wage level 2. If you get a raise at the end of the year, for example, let's say for 149K, you will be wage level 3.
Yep. Okay, awesome. David, again, thank you so much for doing this. Everybody else, I know we could not take all the questions, and if you have, I have pinned the link to Manifest, and they can help you if you have any questions. Plus, if you're into O1 situation, EB1, this might be the time to start looking and thinking about it. We are going to probably do master classes on that. So go ahead and do your profile evaluation, and then we can obviously walk you through the future process as well. It's absolutely free, and you can do that. But again, thank you, David, and thanks everybody. Hang in there. Happy holidays. David, happy holidays as well for you. Hopefully we don't have to talk before New Year, but who knows with this government.
Who knows? But we're ready. We're ready, Udi. And thank you for having me again. Sorry, I was trying to be quicker this time to answer everyone's questions, but Udi was training me and teaching me. I'll keep going, and I'm here for any immigration things that anyone needs.
Nice. Yes. All right. Awesome. Thanks everyone. We'll talk soon.
Take care.
Bye.